Welcome to today's kickoff webinar. It's called Crowdsourcing for Good, and it's a cooperation between Crowdsourcing Week and Living with This Planet. So this will be, we can say, an opening of the coming event in 2 weeks from now, the 14th to 16th of October in Copenhagen. So I have a great couple of people here that will tell about their experience in crowdsourcing field. We have open innovation as a topic, I guess, as well, and we really will have an open discussion on this emerging and very exciting field. So I think we could take a short introduction of the people so far in the hangout here, and then we will go to Preeti and Bani, who is working with Crowdsourcing Week, to get some background of how they build and how they see this emerging field coming up. So maybe we could start with Joachim, and you could tell about yourself and in a very short 1 minute.
Okay, yes, I'm Joachim. I'm here in Berlin, and I'm active in a couple of networks, including Living Bridges Planet. The place where I work from is Agora Collective, a co-working community, and myself, I'm involved in a startup called YOLOCom to create a peer-to-peer software to collaborate.
Great. We go over to Kevin Wilson. He is, I guess you are in USA, and we heard you the other week. It's very exciting projects you are working on. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here in the United States, and I'll just introduce myself and my organization very, very briefly. So I run a social enterprise development firm. It's essentially helping nonprofit organizations to expand their potential for economic impact, and helping social enterprises to get off the ground, to grow, to prosper, and at the same time to generate wealth and jobs in their own communities. So this is all helpful for me because I have to, in many cases, I help a lot of my clients and partners to make their crowdsourcing and crowdfunding campaigns a lot more effective. So I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to learning a lot from you all.
Great. Leif Edvinsson, you're a long-time follower now and Living with This Planet. So short introduction about yourself.
Thank you for having me with you. I'm very impressed with the work you are doing, and I'm impressed with the exponential growth of the network. I have a long background in various open innovation projects for the Swedish government as other enterprises. I'm the world's first professor of intellectual capital, but I'm also the founder of something called the New Global Paris, where we are looking into societal innovation, and crowdfunding might be regarded as a new innovation, but actually taxation was probably the very first crowdfunding approach, also quoted in the Bible.
Oh, great. I don't know, there we have Noime from Philippines. Can you hear us? Would you like to say something? We don't know if she has a connection, might be difficult. Otherwise, we go to Pradeep.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning, good evening, afternoon to all. Well, my name is Pradeep. I am from Nepal. Well, first of all, I would like to wish you a happy Dasai, our great national festival, Hindu festival.
Great, thanks.
Yes, we are celebrating our national festival. It's about 15 days, long day festival. Well, let me introduce about me and about my work. Well, my name is Pradeep from Nepal, here in Nepal. I am the founder of Change Nepal's Mission organization, where we are trying to empower women, youth, and the children to create a sustainable development. Yes. For more, I will explain you all, but this is my just the introduction part. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. We go to Ruxandra. Maybe you can say a few words.
Hello, so I'm Ruxandra. I'm and I am the co-founder of Babele, which is a crowdsourcing platform for business modeling for social entrepreneurs. So it's about collaboration to open up business models and improve them.
Great. So we will hear more about this platform, and also maybe we can try it out in the coming 2 weeks. It would be nice to use a tool here and see if we could cooperate and get some, at least to take some ideas into action. That would be great. And finally in the row we have Vinay from India. I guess you're in Bangalore probably. So hopefully we have the connection there. Can you hear us?
Right, yeah. So I'm Vinay Dora. I'm based out of Bangalore, India. I've been inspired by crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, startups, and communities while I was in the Nordics. So that's my Nordic connection. And right now in India, I'm trying to help promote crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and building up the startup ecosystem. So that's a short introduction. Over to you, Michael.
Great. So we go back to Preeti, and maybe you can tell more about Crowdsourcing Week and where you are in the process and how to build this.
Sure. Thank you so much, Bordola, for helping organize this conversation. I think it's a very valuable time to bring together all of these ideas and thoughts and people on one platform. A little bit about me and Crowdsourcing Week. Crowdsourcing Week is a global platform that is uniting thought leadership on crowdsourcing, collaborative economy, social innovation using crowds, crowdfunding, open innovation, the whole gamut that falls under the crowd-powered economy or the people-powered economy. And we are now, in 2 weeks, bringing together an event in Europe, in Copenhagen, which is our flagship event for Europe. It's a 3-day event, October 14th to 16th. And social innovation and digital social innovation is a key topic at the conference, specifically on October 14th, day 1. And what I'm hoping that comes out of this whole dialogue is, creating this, creating a back and forth of ideas and discussions around different ecosystems that we're all part of. I think there is definitely a gap there, and we can definitely bridge that through initiatives like this. So we're opening this conversation for the next 2 weeks, and we learn a little bit more about the platform that we'll be using, and obviously all social media as well, to kind of facilitate the exchange of ideas. A little background about me. I'm an environmental and sustainability evangelist. My background is in environmental engineering and sustainability, and I'm working with Crowdsourcing Week to amplify their message in about the crowd economy and the collaborative mindset that we need in today's world to solve all of our social, economic problems. So that's, in short, a background about me and what I plan to do with this dialogue.
Maybe you could tell a little bit about some of the content there. Give a few examples of what we will find if we go there.
Sure. So we are on day 1, like I said, or rather, let me give you a little bit of an overview of the whole conference. We have 3 days of programming directed on the crowd economy. Day 1 is focused on, like I said, digital social innovation, crowd participation with brands, with government, the circular economy, among some of the topics. Day 2, we're focusing on crowdfunding and how peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding, reward-based, equity-based platforms are really coming up like never before and surging this innovation in startups, and pushing startups to actually make an impact. Day 3, we're focusing on crowd-powered business models that are changing business as usual. That is powered by the web, network crowds, and things are not the same anymore. And we can definitely expect a lot of innovation in this space. So we're focusing on a lot of different models that are coming up in this space today.
It would be great in the next round maybe to hear more about what you have experienced over the last 2 years here or so. How long time have Crowdsourcing Week been around now? 2 or 3 years?
A little, yeah, about 2 years actually. Yeah, exactly 2 years. Yeah, we've been we produced 2 global events in Singapore, which are week-long events, and they attract participants and speakers from like the last one in 2014. We had about 30+ countries represented in Singapore, and apart from that, we have produced 1- and 2-day summits all over the world. We have about 7-8 summits already produced, and we have a host of them planned for the rest of the year and well into 2015.
Great. So we can go back later and see what's going on in other places. Maybe I think there is some interest. So sure. Maybe we can go to Joachim. You recently hosted a summit in Berlin which had a similarity there. So maybe you can tell what happened there and how this is connected to the crowdsourcing. Get Decentralized, I think it was the name. Get D.
Yes, correct. So it was 2 weeks ago, and actually it was a kind of a prototype for a format where we wanted to try to bring collaboration into the center as a second side of the same coin. It's like decentralization. If you imagine you want to get out of the huge platforms, you are alone, and so you cannot survive, so you need to collaborate. So what we tried is to invite a couple of projects, very interesting projects that really want to make an impact, and we brought the people together, and we the first thing we did to bring them together on a personal level, and then we connected the projects, and on a third level we actually tried to bring the technology behind the projects together. And it was really a very nice success. It's a success that it's based here in Agora also, because it's a space that facilitates a community building in a very powerful way. So we have about almost 600 square meters, and we integrate 3 main topics, which are technology, food, and art. And it's a very interesting mix that pollinates. And pollinates is, for me, I was thinking about Crowdsourcing Week a little bit, and crowdsourcing often is criticized in a way that it's just another way of exploiting the crowd for whether it's been knowledge or finances. But actually, what I like to see is when you have a space where people share their ideas, but they're aware of that it's about the community. So crowdsourcing, to make it successful and meaningful, needs to go with community building. I think this is a very, very important point. And this I can see blossoming here. And people take responsibility, so it's kind of a responsibility and awareness that together we are creating a network that we can create impact with. And Living Bridges Planet is one such network that really does this bridging and bonding. And there are a couple of others, and it's really beautiful to see this. And there is a nice momentum, and it triggered motivation within many individuals and spread this spirit over to the project, and it's really, I'm really grateful for this.
Awesome. So it would also be interesting, maybe next round, to hear more about the YOLOCom and what you are building there with the social dynamic graph and that there could be more for the other people here. So maybe Kevin could tell some more about your experience connected to this.
So my experience connecting to the gambit of crowdsourcing. So I mentioned that the nature of what I do is mainly social enterprise development, and that's for both nonprofits and for-profit business models. And increasingly what I found is that the crowdsourcing methods are an increasingly necessary part of business models that work, business models that connect people and ideas, and channel resources in ways that maybe more traditional methods aren't necessarily adapted for, especially in more remote places. I found it to be very effective for projects relating to the global South. So that's what I do with respect to crowdfunding. So my specific role in that is to really help people with their messaging, with their messaging management, with their impact management, for them to basically present their ideas and their messages to the world in a way that will best articulate their cause. So that's what we try to do.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you could come up, we come back later if you have some example there, or also you are working with social capital, so that's I find interesting in this context, how you see what is the background and the value of a community there to really get to the impact level. So how you combine crowdsourcing and the social capital around it. Would be interesting to hear more. But maybe we can go to Leif here, and you can tell more about your experience here. And you told us about some exciting stuff here initially.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we have already a little bit on it when you said the impact level. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Very good. So I have a little suggestion for the coming week. Would it be possible to refine the core question in crowdfunding? What is the question that is at the core of this engagement or impact level or the exchange? Because that is also part of the social intelligence, to refine the question, the really tough question. But it also links up to simple questions. How does a balance sheet look like for the crowdfunding? How does the profit and loss statement look for it? Is there another way of describing it than the traditional accounting model that will really lift the roof for this innovation approach called crowdfunding or crowdsourcing? So I'm curious to learn during this week if we could relate it, among others, to Quizix, which is the art and science of questioning, as well as very simplistic old traditional tools like accounting. So what's the balance sheet for a crowdfunding approach in some cases like Kevin's or in Joachim's cases?
What type of questions do you see there? That's of course one of the questions to the crowd. But what could it be? You said some simple questions there about the balance sheet. Or...
balance sheet, as well as what currency. Is it Bitcoin, or is it euros or social bonds that will emerge? Remember that the traditional currencies we have today are pretty young. They are at maximum 200 years old. There were other currencies earlier on, which is much more into the bonding dimension that was mentioned earlier. So I think with an open mind, we could probably draft a very interesting mind map with the new dimensions of crowdfunding, but also related to the old school, so to say, because the people that we want to make an impact on are from the old school.
That's a very interesting topic there. You are very often in this innovation conferences and in the institutional context. How do the business and the institutions speak about and look upon crowdsourcing, crowdfunding?
I think they look upon it with curiosity as well as fear, because it's very interesting for themselves, for their kids, and for the community where they are living. But it might imply that they will lose power if this takes on and grow.
So that's how you assess the situation right now in the space.
Yes, because if you are changing, for example, the taxation model, what will happen to the Ministry of Finance? What will happen to the Federal Reserve and the stock exchange? The institutional that we have today, and we rely upon them, as we have said earlier, they are in a kind of era of institutional failure. And that's why the crowdfunding is so extremely interesting. To give you one illustration of a big crowdfunding model is called Lotto. Lotto is the gaming system developed by a lot of governmental institutions. It's not free as we might think, but it's also a kind of taxation, because the money that comes in through Lotto and lottery is used for funding of art, culture, sports, and some for science. And that taxation is, for most people, done with a smile in their face, because it's gaming.
Very interesting there. So we come back there, and I think this institutional question would be very interesting to dig more into in the coming 2 weeks, and how it could be addressed in some way. Maybe we go to Vinay there, who I think have some examples on crowdfunding in India and Asia, and your experience around the field.
Right, yeah. So a really interesting share by Leif on balance sheet, profit and loss for crowdfunding. So I come from a crowdfunding background. I'm involved with a company called Catapult, and we just realized that a lot of institutions are slowly being replaced by communities. And so currently I'm based out of India and quite apt with the Asian crowdfunding ecosystem. So in one of Preeti Ambani's conversations columns, she said spoke about how crowdsourcing is an integral part to Asian culture, and that's something that we all find quite evident. I grew up in Thailand and traveled quite a bit in Southeast Asian countries, and more recently with the many stories that I've come across every day in India. So to elaborate a little more about my learnings and experiences in India, I mean, tomorrow is not just a festival time here, but it's also the birth date of the Mahatma Gandhi, who is a great believer of leveraging the crowds for causes and doing good. So besides promoting ahimsa and non-violence in the struggles, he has also been an advocate of sanitation, hygiene, and cleanliness with the support of the crowd. So in India tomorrow, there's going to be a nationwide Clean India drive, where a lot of people are calling it a housekeeping country nationwide day. So that's something to follow quite closely. It is not something new, these kind of initiatives. There are a lot of people who are doing it in their own ways. Some of them are being covered, listened to. Others are doing it anonymous. There's this headless organization that I came across. It's called the Ugly Indian, who have been cleaning and spot fixing the streets of the many cities in India. In the short span, without though they're anonymous and they become quite popular and acknowledged by the community, a lot of people have been involved. So you see, India it's a very crowd nation. A lot of people get involved with a lot of initiatives, but someone will have to pioneer and facilitate these initiatives. So there are also other causes that I've come across quite recently. One is around creating safer roads for safer India. It's a perennial problem. I mean, we had so Ashoka and a few other people have come together to find solutions from the crowd to make the roads safer. So a lot of people, it drove a lot of traction and interesting ideas. It got close to 100 ideas around things ranging from data-driven solutions to things that detect road unevenness, on-call services, reaching home safe. So safety is a big issue as well. So how do you leverage technology to help people reach home safe. So at the end of it, I think there are two things that I see here, the way forward. One is it's important to empower people with beliefs. We need a lot of people a lot of techpreneurs, social entrepreneurs, and innovators who can embrace the medium of crowdfunding and crowdsourcing fully. So right now they're not sure, they're skeptical. There's a question of trust and belief whether their idea will actually gain traction and support, and together with the community it can change the world. And the other thing, the second thing that I'd like to say here is that there's so many other people who would need to be involved in the system. A lot of people have profound experiences, just that they're not digitally empowered. The few people that I've come across includes, have this ecological agriculturalist and organic farmer who I came across recently. And there is this tribal environmentalist who's known as the Forest Man of India. He has single-handedly built like 1,400 acres of forest cover. Then even Living Bridges Planet, which is actually inspired by the Living Bridges of Meghalaya. So it would be great if we have the original creators and people involved with these kind of things also digitally empowered and sharing their ideas with the rest of the world. I don't think we have to wait for another BBC documentary to discover some great individuals and community leaders. So I believe empowering people with beliefs and engaging communities would enable us to take the next step, the giant leap in the crowd economy. Yeah.
Very true, Vinay.
So we can go back to that. I think I can hear a lot of message from Joachim also there with that it's about the belief and the people and combining the technology and the community in a clever way there. Maybe we can go to Pradeep.
Bertola, add a little comment as Vinay was referring to Gandhi. When he was living, they asked him what he thought about the European civilization system. And the response from Gandhi was, well, it looks like being an interesting concept, with a lot of question marks behind it. So therefore, I think with this event and this initiative, we should search for the systems dynamics in crowdsourcing.
That's very interesting there. So we take with us here, I think we have a lot of comments here in the chat, so we will harvest the information later and work on the questions and the ideas. And of course you can share here links in the chat as well, so we can collect it in the coming time. Maybe we'll go to Pradeep here and hear your story and what you are trying to build in Nepal.
Hello. Hi once again. Really, I'm very glad and very interesting to know about the discussion over here regarding to the crowdsourcing. Really, it plays vital role for those people who are very interested to be an social entrepreneurs, because those people who are social entrepreneurs, they might not running the profit organization. Those all the organization are the non-profit organizations. So that's why regarding to that case, the crowdsourcing plays vital role to set up something in the community, because if we people from different corner of the world, if we do not cooperate each other, then how can we make it more sustained? So that's why the crowdsourcing is a one platform to connect all the people and share the ideas, exchange the ideas, knowledge, opportunity regarding to the subject matter. So that's why crowdfunding plays vital role. And well, in Nepal here, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to set up the ICT center, Information and Communication Technology Center, in the rural area of the Nepal, by which we can create a global village by make a connection with one people to another people around the world. Likewise, we are making a conversation from the different part of the world. That is what a global village. So if we make a connection like that, then we can share so many various type of ideas, opportunities to create the sustainable development. So that is what we are trying to do, is to set up the ICT center and empower the people, like women, youth, and the kids. You see, women has more responsible to their family, to their child, because if the women are not well being educated, then how she will be responsible and how she take care about their family, about their children, because the children are the heroes of the nation in the near future. So that's why at first we have to empower the women by being a social entrepreneurs or anything. That is what we are trying to do.
It would be very interesting there next day, because you have been part now since I think you connected up in January first time. So what is the experience over time, and do you see some effects of connecting up in with other countries? What does it lead to working in type of a crowdsourced way that we are doing, at least when we are connecting through social media? So maybe you can think about that a little bit, and we come back to that question in the next round there. But we go to Ruxandra first and hear about your platform building there, the Babel, I think it's called.
Yes, indeed. So actually what we departed from was the idea that social entrepreneurs are really passionate people, but they most often lack the business acumen to realize their ideas. So we were thinking, how can the crowd help and support social entrepreneurs with the necessary skills and competencies? So what we did was to combine actually the lean startup philosophy with crowdsourcing. So in the platform, you can go and structure your idea, realize what are the assumptions that you need to test, and get feedback and comments and documentations in order to improve your idea. What we also do is we open up the business models so that good ideas that are implemented somewhere in the world, because they are viable, they can be implemented somewhere else. And as you have the whole business model available, it's much easier to implement it. I'm open up. I could speak a lot about Babele, much more. It all depends on you, so I don't want to monopolize the time.
Okay, yeah, but we will try, I think, the platform. We could try after the hangout now, and also we have ongoing crowd chat that will be on for the coming 2 weeks, so we have a time there to
Okay, excellent. I can also share my screen to show you about this part. So just give me 1 second, and please confirm that it works.
Yeah, we can take a short introduction here for the screen, and then we can continue after the webinar with a longer version.
Okay, so this is actually the platform right now. So can you see it? Can you see my screen? Okay, great. So this is the platform. Actually, you can connect through LinkedIn. It's very quick. I'm just going to connect myself. Excellent. I can also share. Yes, please tell me.
Go on, yes. Ruxandra.
Okay, so what can you see in the platform? We have created a community, especially for this chat right now, which is called Crowdsourcing for Good. If you go online, you can join the community just by clicking on this button. And then you will become a member of the community, and you can see the members of the community here. The idea would be if you go down in the overview, in the timeline, you can post comments about people, the discussion that can continue like this after the webinar. You can find resources that would be uploaded by Preeti or by Olaf or by me here, and you can just download the resources, and then you can join a discussion around specific projects. So how can you do that? You can start a project here, type the name and the description, then I'm not going to show it, but once you have created your project, you can apply to that your project belongs to this community, so it will be appear in the projects of the community. So just to show you how it looks and what I was telling you about the idea of business modeling and validating with the crowd, I'm going to take an example of a project that we have in the platform. So you have the description of the platform, and then you can go and see the business plan of the project. So you have the whole methodology here. What is the problem that the entrepreneur is solving? Who are the customers? What is the value proposition? You have here the description that the person is giving, and then you can give your feedback. So, and people, you can see here people comment and improve their business model like this. So the idea for this discussion right now, it's if we have like general ideas that we can exchange them in the general community and in the timeline. If we want to discuss specifically on projects, then create a project and do the collaboration in the project. Thank you. And
sounds good.
It was clear.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, I think we got a quick overview there, and we tested a little bit yesterday, so it looks really sweet and simple to use there. So it could be great to experience here for the people who would like to do it. We have a new person joining here from, I think you're in Greece, Christiana.
Yes, I am in Paralioastros, southern Greece.
Yeah, so you have some ideas around crowdsourcing, I guess, as well. So tell about your project and your vision for the future.
I would like to get one village that is totally empty, getting going with 300 people, 150 Greeks, and another 150 from all over the world, that we start producing and start a new community, a new economic activity. Of course, we do not have available funds that they can be given to us, but we do have a lot of support from people that they are away from Greece. I am here to learn how can I use the tool of crowdfunding to get my community and my vision going. So I'm here to learn more than anything else.
That's great. Have you tried any crowdfunding campaign or so yet, or?
No, I am at the stage of negotiating into getting in incubator, a business incubator. And pretty soon, maybe by next month, I will be inside an incubator. So I guess there I will do my business plan and do crowdfunding. So I'm seeking help outside of this small area.
Excellent. So that's a good case also to work on there to get to amplify different projects here. So maybe we can go back now to Preeti, and you can tell more about experience around the world, what you have seen so far in crowdsourcing and what's happening.
Yeah, sure. I think, we are definitely in very exciting times, and, with my experience in Asia versus Europe or the United States, there are very stark differences between how crowdsourcing or crowd collaboration is used. It's amazing how, cultural and society, perceptions, mindsets. It's just amazing how many things can impact this space, and it's wonderful to see that diversity. But I think what I'm seeing right now is, trends-wise, I feel Asia specifically is consuming a lot of these crowdsourcing platforms. Like, you would see a lot of participation on the task platforms like Elance and TaskRabbit, etc., which is definitely helping the middle class there to come up. But I want to see more of like digital social innovation that is helping the poor over there, or the folks who are not reaping all the benefits of our digitally connected network society. And I feel that is a little bit slow in getting there. I'm sure Vinay will have some thoughts on that specifically, but what I want to see is the crowdsourcing mindset to go from a consumer mindset to actually using the technology and the technology and the best practices that we have now in more productive ways, especially with respect to Asia. With Europe and America, obviously there's a lot of different ideas that have been generated. There's so many different platforms. There's almost the Uber model has become so prevalent that there's a trend that says Uberification of different services. That's basically changing the business model for everything from laundry to cleaning to gardening to how you hail a taxi. So it's definitely coming. It's very prevalent here. Europe is very big in crowdfunding. I think London is being hailed as the capital of crowdfunding. So I'm curious to see how in the next few months, and I'm not even saying years, in the next few months, how all of these this information and these knowledge networks are going to permeate, through society, to see how we can bring all of this innovation to actually help citizens. So I'm excited about that, to see how that shapes up. And I think conversations like this are going to be important.
Yes, I think that sounds really interesting there, and connecting there to, I know Joachim is very much involved in this, in the sharing economy, and trying to get the digital social innovation going there. So maybe you can tell a little bit more about Yolocom and what you're working on there specifically, connected to what Preeti said here.
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing that really lies on my tongue right now, and it's really something that moves me, is the question about funding, financing, and this is connected, of course, to crowdsourcing and community building. And we are looking into licensing, because licensing is a way, that with the open source model, basically, it opened up a sphere for creativity and for crowdsourcing, but actually it proved to be not a really healthy and long-term sustainable solution. So when we look at one of the most famous open source projects like Linux, then when you compare like the large amount of people that contributed to make this software, and then the small amount of people who really made like a lot of money out of it, then there's a huge imbalance. And there are a couple of people who are looking into what type of licenses we can create. And one is Dmitry Kleiner, and he normally is also a resident of Berlin, but now he is for a few months in Canada. And also Michelle Bowens. And Michelle Bowens was here in Berlin 2 weeks ago, and he presented the Reciprocity license. So this is basically a license that prevents what the community created, it protects it in a way, it makes it available to the community in the sense of open source, but it protects it from exploitation. So still everybody can use it, but if somebody is not contributing to the community, there needs to be some other exchange. Whether it being goods or if it's money, it really doesn't matter. And there's one example here. In the moment, there was a successfully crowdfunded startup here in Berlin, and it was around coffee, and so that you basically have the green beans, and you have you buy the green beans, you don't buy the roasted beans, and it's a machine that does the roasting and the coffee making in one process. And so they had a great supporting community, but then venture capital notions kicked in, and it's kind of tricky. And when you have not a clear community-based license, then financial forces tend to push and keep pushing the more successful or more attention is being given to the startup into the old economy direction again. So I think we have to really focus on the community building. And Leif also put out the question, is it Bitcoin or is it not Bitcoin? And also Bitcoin is in a way decentralized. I would say it's still centralized because it's at one point controlled and it's basically dictating the value. But the value proposition should be in the hands of each individual. And you know, it could even differ from cultural backgrounds. In India, it might be totally different than in Berlin or in other parts of the world. So this having said, I now come back also to the topic of decentralization. I think the most healthy way is to think of it as an ecosystem where it starts to grow in a very small way, but with a direct feedback loop towards the community. So this means there's a healthy growth. It's really slow, but it can be also replicated very easily, but only once it's being proven that it's a working concept. And so what YOLOCOM actually does, it's a decentralized software application that allows the user to control, manage, and share their data. So you don't have, you're not part of one platform or many platforms in our cases, you know, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth. They all store your data, and you are not really in control of your data. They are in control of the data. They are peer-to-peer on the front end, but at the back end, it's like totally centralized. So, and here I think it's we come also back to the value proposition. Who creates the value? So data are very valuable, and we need to put it into the hands of the individual, I think, not only to for financial sustainability, but also to unleash the potential that lies in the data and the knowledge that lies within the people. And this is actually what we try to do. And we are looking into crowdsourcing, but only connected to community building, because it needs also, I think, or let it put it this way, I think we need to ask the question, not what we can get from the community, but what can we give to the community, that it becomes a meaningful tool in a way. And yeah, so this, having said, we have a community dinner here tonight at Agora. We do this every 2 weeks, and today we also invite people from WeShare, and they are waiting down there, and I'm hosting this here today. And so sorry that I drop out now of the Hangout, but it was really, really great meeting you, and I'm looking forward to hopefully see some of you also in Copenhagen at the Crowdsourcing Week.
Excellent, yeah. So I think you have put up a lot of interesting questions now, and in general this webinar has lifted a lot of questions to discuss in the coming 2 weeks there. Maybe I leave the chat open here for feedback of, you can just get into the conversation here and comment on what you have heard so far. Is there anyone who would like to comment?
Yes, I can take the floor and give you some comment, if you hear me.
Yes.
Leif, I'm very energized by many of the comments from Joachim and from Peter, etc. One question I have, how do you view the Olympic Games? Is the Olympic Games a kind of crowdfunding model that could be replicated and learned from? Could it be that we are still in a kind of traditional business modeling of what is social value? Because when I hear about the cases from Nepal as well as from India, somehow it looks like they are retarding back to the old business model instead of looking for social value modeling instead of business value modeling. And if we apply that to the Olympic Games, it might be an interesting outcome, a learning outcome.
And how could that, do you have some ideas how it could look in practice?
Well, it looks like what Joachim was referring to is this licensing model, which implicitly means that you allow somebody else to own your intellectual property for a short while, and you pay for that as a rent. And that's the logic of licensing. But it's based on the assumption that you can own the thinking, the thought, the concept, the patent. But suppose you cannot. Suppose it's a relationship. It's another social value. For example, if we take, who owns your name, Bartola?
I need to think about that. Do you know?
Well, it's probably an open source model.
Yes, that's, yeah, that might be.
So implicitly, we have a lot of assumptions that are made from the old economy that impact the way we could develop a value model instead of having this traditional business model and business model documents, etc. We should develop a kind of social media illustration of where the value is emerging and how it's falling back into the roots of the fruits, like Joachim was saying. I was very inspired by his model. But I was very intrigued also by this Uberification. Somehow the Uberification is contaminated by the American business model. So if we could clean it up and see the social valuing, it could be very, very interesting for the crowdfunding week.
Mm-hmm. So we have a lot. So maybe the project could be something around the questions. The questions to ask. That's one thing that I can see coming up here.
Yeah, I already see a few questions I think that have come up that are very interesting. You know, the how does the budget or the balance sheet look like? What are some social, crowdfunding 101 for social enterprise trying to get off the ground? What is like literally the first steps? And it's just some interesting projects that we could actually create on the Babel platform.
Yes. Do we have some more comments in the?
If I may.
Yes.
I think that the social impact that I am looking for to prevent I am looking for preventing the young people in Greece leaving the country and going somewhere else to find work, where we can absorb these people in here and start really generating a healthier economy. Now, I think that the great impact to that is that in my village, in actually the village that I am trying to do a proof of concept, there is a plaque. There is a plaque done in 1798, and it says education is all about wisdom, and wisdom is the only thing that will serve the young people. So I think that I could be building my campaign around education, around wisdom, and around not losing my young people to go somewhere in a different place. So I think that I do have a lot of new values, a new economy into that, and I cannot do it alone. So I felt that I should be establishing a school that is agriculture, cooperation, and cultural entrepreneurship. Because if we do not teach those kids how to be entrepreneurial, there is no way that we can make the economy start again. So this is where I am coming from. I think that it is very important that crowdfunding gets that message.
If I may add, I can relate to a lot of what Christiana is saying, but over here you have a lot of people from the rural centers going to the urban centers to find opportunities, a lot of young people. So how do we ensure that people stay in their villages and also have a sustainable livelihood there? Just to add to what you said.
Guys, if I could add to that as well, I have to agree with where Christiana is coming from. I think her assertion is a sound one. And if crowdsourcing is going to be part of the solution, and my belief is that it would be, I guess I sort of have a question that I'd like to explore over the next couple weeks. And it's generally the nature of what works, what doesn't work, and why is that. And I'll explain where I'm coming from. Because in my own country, the United States, as well as where we work in Africa, like Nigeria, Uganda, and recently Kenya, I've seen crowdfunding campaigns that are wildly successful, beyond anyone's expectations. And then I've seen many of them on the complete other end of the spectrum that don't go well at all. And what I guess I'm sort of looking for is, one, well, I don't see a whole lot of middle ground in those areas, and two, what exactly do those that are successful have in common? What are strategies that can be replicated, and whether or not they're maximizing the use of their social capital and social network? So that's just something that I'd open for everyone to discuss, and that's certainly what I'm going to be thinking about.
Yeah, so collecting some good cases and some maybe some generalized knowledge around what's working and what's not working, that could be taken with us in the coming two weeks as well, I guess. Do we have some more comment here? We have been up now for an hour here, so we can continue a little bit. And
I think I have one last thing. One key thing that we're talking about rural communities. A lot of them are off the grid digitally, and a lot of great crowdsourcing initiatives are digital. And I think that's something to think about as well, as to how there can be a meeting ground where more people, obviously there's constant work going on everywhere to bring more people, to connect more people through mobile networks, etc. But that's also a key thing to consider in our discussions. Some people are just not connected.
Bertola, may I have one
Yes.
little insert before I leave you?
Yeah.
Very, very good thoughts and kind of living bridge. starting with the Olympics in Greece, and now having that expanding globally through the broadcasting networks going into the next generation. How would it be during the forthcoming weeks to look for a crowdsourcing Olympics as a gamification approach to find the best crowdsourcing games for the future, and learn from the old Greece Olympics and the most recent generation of it into the next generation. So with that, I wish you a happy future to all of you, and thank you for inspiring me tonight. Thank you. A happy future from Sweden and France.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. I think Pradeep has some comment also.
No. Well, actually, I am also more curious and interested to know about the crowdfunding, how it works. Because last time while I posted some ideas, some articles about my organization on the crowdfunding, I feel some problem at the time, so I'm not able to post. So that's why I'm more interested to learn about that at first. So it would be far better if we if we make a 1 hour or 2 hour training through the Google Hangouts regarding to the crowdsourcing. I think it would be far better if we arrange such type of these trainings. That is my comment.
Yeah, great. So I think some practical cases and how you create a crowdfunding campaign, basically. So
yes,
that's of course, and it's related to what Kevin said before about what's working and what's not working, because you need that input to make at least to increase the chances to be successful in crowdfunding.
And also I would also like to know the main mechanism of the crowdfunding, how it works. Because if I don't know from the basic level, then actually it would not be meaningful to use the crowdsourcing. So that's why I would like to suggest you all that just to create 1 or 2 hour trainings over the Hangouts for the crowdsourcing, and then after that I hope we know about the basic mechanism of the crowdsourcing by which it would be more easier for us. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Do we have any more comment? Otherwise, I think we will end today's webinar, and the final comment here.
Yeah, I think we've got some great great pointers to extend this conversation. So I think we're at a good stopping point now.
So the idea now in the coming 2 weeks is that we have started a Facebook chat, and for you who might be following right now, it's just to comment on some of the threads out there, and we will invite you into the crowd chat, and we will, I think maybe later in this evening or tomorrow in the coming days, we can use the Babel platform to try to collect information here, and we already have some really nice ideas to develop, and we could try to showcase during the Crowdsourcing Week in 2 weeks from now. And also we have some good hashtags out there. What is the Crowdsourcing Week hashtag we should use?
It's CSW Europe.
CSW Europe, or we can also use Nordic SOCAP. This was the initial idea when we started to connect with Crowdsourcing Week, was to connect with a conference that is going on in San Francisco in early September. So we do this now with Crowdsourcing Week. So I think we are finally there for tonight, and we meet up later in the crowd chat. So have a nice evening or day or night.
Thank you, Bordola.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Take care.